Hey guys, welcome back to From Home to Hustle. I'm your host, Kelly Campbell. Like I've said it before, I love hearing encouraging and inspiring stories of other homeschool stay-at-home moms who've started businesses or making supplemental income for their family without sacrificing family time. Today, my guest is Holly Renee. So Holly, she is a wife, a mother, an entrepreneur who believes women don't have to choose between chasing their dreams and being fully present for their families. As a homeschooling mom who built a seven-figure business from her kitchen, she knows firsthand the challenges of balancing ambition with faith, family, and intentional living. Her journey of overcoming health struggles, growing a business from ground up, and prioritizing what truly matters has shaped her passion for encouraging women to pursue their goals without sacrificing the simple joys of life. Holly is dedicated to inspiring women to step into their God-given purpose while embracing both the messy and beautiful moments of motherhood, business, and personal growth. She believes success isn't about doing it all, it's about focusing on what matters most. Through sharing her journey, she reminds women that they are strong, capable, and called to thrive in every season of life. Holly Renee, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. I'm
I'm so
excited
glad
for
you're here.
this. This is
I
gonna
know,
be
me too. I
fun.
am really excited that you're here. I'm reading your bio and I'm like, I feel like this could be my bio. Like, I'm loving this. Through
Oh,
sharing her journey, she reminds women that they are strong, capable, and called to thrive in every season. I mean, my goodness. So, okay, so share a little bit about your seven-figure business that you started from your kitchen. What?
oh gosh, yes. It was 9 years ago. So I like to say it started with a baby on my hip and a toddler at my feet. And I was a part of a local moms group, and they just kept commenting like, "Gosh, your kids are never sick. How come your kids are never sick?" I'm like, "Oh, I just give them elderberry syrup." They're like, "Can you make me some? Can you bring me some?" I'm like,
Mm.
"Oh, sure." So I started bringing these armloads of glass mason jars of elderberry syrup to the moms groups. And pretty soon they're like, "Oh, my mom wants some, my aunt wants some, my cousin wants some." At the holidays, it's like, "Oh, I'm going to my family's Christmas. Can I bring like 10 jars?" I'm like, "Whew." I'm like, "Okay, sure." So at first I was literally like giving it away or just charging them like, "Oh, can you just bring back the jar next time?" I'm not an entrepreneur like minded person at all. My husband has totally helped me
Wow.
in that aspect.
Wow.
I was just giving it all away. And so from there, it started where people were starting to come to my front door, and I'm like nursing a baby, and they're putting the money underneath of the mat and taking their jar from the front step, like pre-ordering it over the phone. Like this is before there's like PayPal, Venmo, like all of the things,
Hmm.
it's wild to me how far things have come. I'm like, man, have really evolved in the last 10 years, you know?
So, so you
And
just
so,
started by just taking care of your family.
yep,
And then that was like literally your marketing scheme. It was like your kids showed up healthy and they're
yeah,
like, wait, what's going on here? Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah, and just I think the most important thing was people I met a need before I focused on a sale. I
Mm,
was literally just wanting to help these mamas without thinking what's in it for me, or even like in a striving place. It was literally, it just came naturally. It was what I was already doing. And so, and it took my husband to say like, "Penny, you're providing a service for somebody, like you need to pay for that, like they need to pay for it." And I'm
mm,
like, "Oh, okay." So I think has to be a balance, right? Because like
yes.
there are people who tend to be just way more on my side of things of like, let's just give it all away,
Hmm.
and there's people who are way more of like, well, what am I going to get from it? And so I think that, my husband and I are very different, but we've been able to be such a perfect balance that way. We call each other the rock and the balloon. And so he likes to like hold things down where I'm like, "Look at the view from up here, honey. It's amazing." He's like, "Okay, come back down." So yeah, we're so good for each other that way. But that's how it started in my kitchen. And then it had to grow outside of that because you can only do so much from your kitchen as a cottage food, and then you expand that. And so one day I came to my husband with a little baggie, like a Ziploc baggie with handwritten instructions. And I was like, hey, so and so wants me to just send them the ingredients because, it doesn't work well to ship liquids in glass in winter. Like, just three things that just don't work well. And so I was like, oh, I'll just send her the ingredients and she can get her own local honey, like even better than my honey. She was in like North Carolina or something. So I'm
Oh,
like, go
wow.
get your own honey at the farmer's market or wherever. And my husband like looked at it and he's like, why aren't we selling this? And I'm like, oh, honey,
Mm.
I don't think anybody's going to want to buy that. And he's like, why not? And I'm like, people don't want to make it. He's like, you make it. And I'm like, that's because we're poor. Because we were. We were very, very poor. And I'm just a very frugal, like DIY person anyway. So I'm just naturally bent to like, oh, it's cheaper if I make it. I'll just make it myself. And so he was like, we need to start selling this. And so we looked into like, and he knows me so well. He's like, honey, you're providing a need for people that they don't even know that it exists. They don't know that something is all
Uh,
curated and put together already. And I'm like, oh, I'm
yeah.
helping someone. Okay, I'll do it. So in my mind, I always have to make it about like I'm providing value to someone because the sales part, I don't like it. I'm not motivated that way where he is. And so we've learned so much over the last 9 years, like how to work together and how to find those balances. Even in homeschooling, it's like there's things that I thrive and love to homeschool my kids in. And my husband is like, I'll take this, this, and this because those
Mm.
things I don't enjoy. And so I feel like, finding that balance within your own, community life, whatever that looks like. If it's not your husband, if it's, if you do have a different business partner, whatever, friends, it takes a tribe. Like we were made to
Mm.
live in community. And so I think that that's why even podcasts like this is like hearing that other people have done it and that it's possible. People
Yeah.
just people just need to know that it's possible. That's how world records are set. It's
Yeah.
because somebody else had it.
So
And then
you were
like,
just a regular family, just a regular
yeah,
family.
we
You
still
said
are.
y'all were struggling. You still are. I love this. And y'all were just struggling. And like it's literally started from just a need. You saw a need for your own family, and then you started sharing that need as a passion for others. And then
Mm-hmm.
it turned into a business. Okay, so I
Yep.
have a question. So you're sitting here, you're making your elderberry syrup for your family and everything. And then all of a sudden, orders start pouring in.
Yeah.
Where are the kids? Like, how are you
Oh,
balancing this?
they're on my hip and at my feet. Like I'm not joking you. It was literally like during nap times was a huge thing, but I found myself waking up at like 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning just to get those things done and staying up really late. And I think that that's what my husband really pointed out is like, honey, you're making a ton of sacrifices for these people. Like you really do need to charge. I mean, I'm telling you, it took like 2 or 3 months for him to convince me that this was like indeed a business and not
Wow.
just like you can't just give these things away because that is just my heart like to a fault, and so it literally just started in my kitchen and it had to outgrow because it grew so fast. But I also want to say that because of the way that I have chosen to live my life, people looked at this as not like a, oh, Holly's just trying to sell something. It was literally like a, oh, I trust Holly. And
Oh,
our tagline is the trusted superfoods company. It's something that
oh,
I
wow.
wanted to be known as. It was something like integrity and values is super important to me over sales. And my customers know that. My family knows that. My community knows that. So it's more than just like I wanted to start a company. I didn't. It didn't start because I wanted to start a company. I just wanted to
Mhm.
help people. And through that, it naturally grew. And I will say, I've had to really change my mindset to say, Lord, this is obviously something that you have called me to. How do I steward it well? And
That's good.
sometimes that takes intentionality.
Yes.
Sometimes that takes putting on a business mind to say, if I want to serve the most people without compromising my values and my integrity and
Hmm.
the values of this company and the product quality, like all of those things have to align for it to be a yes for Zach and I to step forward together. But there are different questions that you ask when you start seeing it as this is a calling. This is
Yes.
something that the Lord has called me to do. This is no longer a hobby. This is something that I need to take seriously
Yeah.
because there are so many families out there that are literally praying and looking for this. And I get to answer that. I get to be a part of this with God. I get to partner with Him
Good.
to answer these prayers. And if I'm being foolish about it and just like, oh, it's no big deal,
Yeah.
this is no big deal, then it's not going to be stewarded well. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
It's really good. I want to speak into that because you said it's a calling.
Mm,
I do a lot of like mindset debunking, and
mm,
I want to debunk the mindset that you can make money with your calling. You can
yeah.
make money with your talents. Your talents can bring in an income. Your passions can bring in an income. Like we're not trying to be
Mm,
financial martyrs in this world. It takes money for your family, for yourself, and to
yeah.
promote the gospel of Jesus. It takes finances. And so I want to just kind of like debunk that mindset
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to make money off my passion. I just want to do it to help people. That's great. But you don't want to cast your pearls before swine. You don't want to cast what you're doing, something of value, before people who are just going to trample on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can speak to that for sure because it's something that I've brought to the Lord and been like almost overwhelmed with like, Lord,
Hmm.
how what do I do with this? And I feel
Yeah.
like you've put me in a position to be a person of influence that, to be honest with you, I don't feel worthy of it. And I don't know if I want all the responsibility that comes with it. And I'm telling you, if when I was stirring that honey into the pot with a baby on my hip and a toddler at my feet, while
Mhm.
I first started, and the Lord would have given me a vision for what it is today, I probably would have passed out. I probably
Hmm.
would have been like, nope, next. Like, that's not for me. I'm not good enough for that. I'm not worthy of that. That cannot be me. Because at that time, that was my belief system. And
Hmm.
at that time, I wasn't equipped. And at that time, I didn't have the tools and the resources. And I didn't know the things that I know
Yeah.
today. But today, I look at how far we've come and I'm like, literally, only the Lord could have done that.
Yes.
I didn't have a degree. I went to school for children and family ministry. Okay. Like, I didn't go to school for business.
Ex-
And, but I had a passion inside of me, and He can do so much with a willing heart, I'm telling you. And I've not done these massive courses and had a mentor. Like, it was Zach and I sticking to it, doing the hard work, watching the YouTube videos, listening to the podcast, like every free resource we could get our hands on, we did. And that's how we built our company to this day. It
is
is an amazing story. And so when you do have those thoughts come in from the enemy of like, oh, what would you possibly do with all that money? Or you're so greedy, or,
Mhm.
how can you be trusted with that money? Or you're not worthy of it. I'm telling you, the Lord has healed me so much of those mindsets too, because He is saying, daughter, I need families and entrepreneurs and business owners to be faithful with what I have called them to. There are ministries out there that need that money funneled to them, and the only way they're going to get it is through you.
Yes.
That's how it's going to come. So just because I give you the money doesn't mean it's for you to buy the next biggest, hottest, greatest thing. It's
Yeah.
to come to me and say, now, Lord, what do you want me to do with that money?
Yeah.
And the things we've been able to do with the money that He has given us, I could write a whole page. I could do a whole podcast on that alone. And that to me is success.
That's
That to
great.
me is being able to come before Him and be
Yes.
like, you know what, Lord, this is fun.
Yeah.
What do you want us to do next? Those are the
Exactly.
questions that we ask with those big amounts of money that He has entrusted us with. Not, oh my gosh, now what am I supposed to do? Or what's the best next thing that I'm going to get for me?
Mm.
It's a yes and. Yes, Lord, I want to enjoy the
Yeah.
pleasures and the goodness that comes
Yeah.
from this. And I want to glorify you and
Hmm.
be sure that this money is honored in the way and directed in the way that you've called it to be.
Absolutely. That is so great. So for the mom who's out there and is like, okay, I feel like I need to start something. I feel like God's putting it on my heart and everything. I want to make 7 figures. I want to make 8 figures. I want to make 9 figures. I mean, what would you say would be the first practical step? So
Mm,
don't get overwhelmed, but what's the first practical step?
yeah. So it might sound like okay, but like just do it. Take one
Mhm.
step. You don't have to see the climb the mountain. You don't have to climb the mountain today. Just take that one step. So whether that one step is I'm going to set up a Facebook page. I'm going to set up a Facebook group. I'm going to go online and do a live, or I'm going to do a story and just say, hey, I have an idea. I want to start this. And this is what I'm going to do. And I'm
Yeah.
going to invite other people to come alongside and do
Hmm.
it with me if it's a
Yes.
Facebook group. Or this is a new product that I really want to start. And I would really love to know if any of you would benefit from that or want that or could give me some feedback of some things that you would appreciate seeing in that with flavors or different combinations or colors or whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
And utilize social media that way because that is a total game changer, I
Yes,
would
it
say,
is.
when it comes to like crowdfunding and crowdsourcing and there are people in your life who want to support you. I love supporting small businesses. When someone comes to
Mhm.
me and they're like, I'm starting something, I mean, half the time I do it for them just because I'm like, I love this. I want to hear about it, you know? And so it would
Yes.
be to start, not look at the mountain that you are going to climb, but look at the next step, and then look at the next step, and then look at the next step.
Yes,
Just take
exactly.
one step. Just take one step. And I will say
Exactly.
that praying to ask the Lord to give you eyes to see the way that He sees,
Yeah.
rather than the way that the world has told us to see, rather even through your eyes that might have some trauma or some things in that you're seeing money or you're seeing success or you're seeing business as something that's like, I don't know about it. It's like, Lord, help me see it the way that you see it.
Yeah.
Because that is going to break so many things and give you so much freedom to be able to see with peace and clarity, and you'll have so much more confidence taking a step forward when you are seeing it the way that he sees it.
That's great. I have one question for you. Actually, I have a lot. I keep like I'm writing notes as you speak and everything. I will say this really quick. Don't be afraid to ask for feedback. That is the only way that you're going to learn, and that's the only way that you're going to find out if, especially if you have a product. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid to ask for feedback because that's the only way you're going to know if your product is going to be successful or not. And then be teachable, be teachable and humble, and learn from that. But okay, so my question for you though is what would be one marketing tip that you would give somebody? So they already have something. They're like, you know what? I make this wonderful skincare product that I just absolutely love, or whatever it is. They have a product. And what would be your number one or just one tip of how to market?
Hmm. Marketing for me was came through word of mouth, and I will say I would take it one step back in making sure that your customers are appreciated. I did handwritten notes for so long to my customers. Thank you so much for being my customer, because from there they feel seen and appreciated and they naturally will share it. They naturally will just share it because it's such a good feeling. Like, let it be an experience for them. It's more than just a product, it's an experience. I've always said that. Like, let it be an experience, whether it's through you or through the actual product, through the packaging, whatever that looks like. But marketing, make sure that it reflects you, your brand, your product, whatever it is, so that when people see it, they get the feeling that you're trying to express. And that is going to be so much easier for you to market that way too, because it's being authentic. It's coming across the way that you want them to have a feeling when they hold your product, feel your product. Or if you're like doing coaching or, have a virtual product, it's like, what am I getting? We have like 5 seconds before they swipe to the next thing or go to the next thing. And so it's like, what impact are you wanting to make? And make sure that it embodies you so that you can speak to it and it just comes naturally.
Yeah.
That it doesn't have to be something that you work at, that it just is like, this is a representation of me. And you have so much peace about that.
Guys, that advice is like literally carries its weight in gold. Okay, you
Mm-hmm.
just heard a great marketing tip is to personalize your
Mm-hmm.
customers, you're personalizing your product, you're personalizing your feedback. So that is absolutely great advice. So
Yeah.
where are you seeing yourself 6 months from now?
That's a great question. I love that question. Well, I am actually starting to just do like one-on-one coaching. I just started my own Facebook group, and just starting to like really mentor women in an intentional way. I used to do it one-on-one and just like out of my home, in Minnesota. And so now I'm just starting to really embrace the fact that there are more people outside of Minnesota and Florida that are equally passionate and want to be told that someone believes in them. And so I'm just starting to speak, and I go to moms groups. I just got booked for a conference. Just
Mhm.
being able to take steps in a little bit of a different direction and continuing to grow my company and build it is always going to be a part of me. Like, I love it so much. But also being faithful to what I feel like the Lord has given me as a message now. It's more than just a product and a passion, it's a message. And I've been faithful with the product and the passion. And so I feel very confident to be able to take a step in that direction now. I'm also very much an advocate of like, don't try to like do too much all at once because something will fall. And so it's just very much about like, okay, things are going good and I feel good to take a step in this direction. And so I am, and it's beautiful and it's full of peace and I'm excited about it. There's no pressure. It's not just this like, oh, what's my next thing? It's like, I feel good about doing this now. And so I'm going to do that. So thanks for asking. I appreciate that.
That's amazing. Okay, so one last question. Well,
Mhm.
actually, let me ask this first. How can people reach you?
Oh, okay. So our company is called Elderwise Organics. So that's our website. You can find us on social media, Instagram, Facebook. Instagram is my easiest like preference and way to interact with me. And then on Facebook, it's Holly Renee over cashier. And then on Instagram, it's Holly Renee XO. So HOLLYRENEEXO. And from there, you'll be able to find Otherwise. And like, back and forth, you'll find me through back both of them. Like I'm tagged in all of them. So Otherwise Organics is the name of our company.
I love
And
it.
yeah, it's a beautiful little thing that we've
I
created together.
love it.
And it's become something that is way bigger than anything I ever imagined it to be.
Amazing.
And
So,
I kind of
ladies,
anticipate that with the speaking, it's going to start with just a passion, right? Like
yes.
I don't even have a name for my group. I was just like, let's just start it. I don't
I
know.
love that.
Because for now, I'm like, I'm going to be faithful with this right here, this
Mhm.
message and this heart and this story, and just all of the things that God has brought me through and all the ways that I've overcome. We didn't even talk about my 7 knee surgeries and a heart surgery. Like,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
so much to
Oh,
this story that brought me to where I am today
we
that
may
other
need you to come back for a part two.
let's do it. I'm all for it. Let's do
I
it.
would love that. Okay, so I have a real life question for you really quick, okay, before we
Yeah,
is your house messy or clean right now?
messy. That's
Okay.
why I have a background that's blurred.
Every mom that I've asked that question is like, yeah, it's not pretty right now. It's messy. So I just want people to know, like, we have to give ourselves grace. We don't
So
live
much
in filth,
grace.
but our houses get messy that we're living here. And so, but if
You
you
know,
can have a messy house and you have a passion and you've got children running around, this is the
yeah,
recipe for a perfect idea to be birthed. Okay. But here's the
yeah,
thing. Having an idea is easy. Putting it into motion is where the hard work is going to come in at. So
yeah,
I'm going to encourage you to write your passion down, figure it out, and then get going. Just like she said, the very first practical tip that she could give was just do it. Just start. Just start. And so, any last really quick advice before we end?
yeah. I will say, like, I think, social media can be used in such beautiful ways, but just be careful and not to look to the right and to the left too much of what are they doing? What are they doing? Like, come to the Lord and
Yes.
trust that he will tell you what to do because I can relate to that. I have looked to the right and to the left so many times and just been like, maybe I'm not doing it right. I see what they're doing. Maybe I need to be doing that. Would it be better if I'm doing that? And all it does is create anxiety and
Yes.
fear and doubt, and that is not from the Lord.
Yes.
And every time I come to him and I'm like, Lord, what should I do about this? He is so faithful. And oftentimes it's so unique and so creative that I'm like, literally, I'm so glad I asked you because obviously those other things are working for them, but maybe they wouldn't work for me.
Yeah.
And so just be careful about that because there are so many options out there, right? It can almost
Yeah.
be paralysis by analysis because you see how everything else is being done and you're like, well, is that how I have to do it?
Yeah.
No, you just
Yeah.
need to do it the way that God's calling you to do it and be true to that and let that be what guides you and be confident in that. You don't have to look like how everybody else is doing it. He's calling you to do it in a specific, certain
Yeah.
way and trust that.
Yeah, so good. So good. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video today from Holly Renee. You can find her again at elderwiseorganics.com, all of her products. And then we will put all of her links down below. And so, Holly, thank you again. This has been
Yes,
so wonderful. And
yes,
I look forward to it. And we probably will have you back on for part two.
I'm here for it. Let's do it.
Sounds great. Well, ladies, until next time, remember Matthew 5:16 says, "Let your light shine before all men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven." Until next time, take care.